Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're doing messages from animal spirits. So this is wisdom coming in from spirit animals, from power animals for you. We have 3 piles today. The collective field is impacting you. Things are not what they seem, and you are the image maker. What you focus on manifests. The timestamps are below, and I will see you in your readings. Hi Pile 1, welcome to your reading. We are doing 5-minute readings today with a message from your spirit animal. So I don't really have animal cards here. We might see animals in the cards, but we're going to discern which animal is speaking at the end of the video. So we're going to start by getting the message. You've got 4 of Wands and 7 of Swords, in flow with money, gossip and kindness, the collective field is impacting you, unseen forces in action, how can you relinquish control of the situation that feels blocked, open, say yes, open not broken, trust life, revealing radiance, ascendancy capacity, oppression, and the luminous brew. So there's a very clear message here around you experiencing a challenge, something unwanted. You're going through something that is hard. And this reading is nice because it really wants to acknowledge that whatever challenge you're experiencing is serving you. It is for a greater end. There is a purpose, there is benefit, there's value in this experience. I feel like there's a deeper part of you that's really speaking this to you, but your ego or your more survival mode mind is panicking a bit, or is what you're actually doing is measuring yourself next to others in this situation. So this is potentially for somebody who's like unemployed at 40 years old kind of thing. Like there's some sort of situation you're in, and it may not be that. It might be like your friend group specifically is very successful and you're just experiencing some really intense challenge that is putting you apart from others. It's making you feel isolated. It's making you feel like the world is against you. It's making you go, why is everyone else, succeeding while I'm struggling so much? So there's a quieter voice that's trying to let you know that the challenge you're going through is serving you, it's benefiting you, and it's come in response to an intention you have to grow in some sort of way. This specifically feels like this is about bringing more of your spiritual energy into the physical. So the challenge is meant to do that. That's what it's meant to achieve. That's why you have manifested it. It is part of your process of weaving your spirit and your matter together. And it seems like challenges push us to do that. It's like we call in deeper spiritual resources. We call in more of our soul expression when we're experiencing these kinds of things. I really feel like this energy is suggesting it's like you're being opened so that more spirit energy can flow into your physicality, into your physical self, into your physicality, into your humanness, into your human experience. Like over and over, there's these messages of you feeling like singled out and made to suffer some terrible experience. And you're really comparing yourself to those around you, to the collective. And that's what's making it feel so bad. So this message is really letting you know there's nothing wrong. This is meant to assist you in becoming more of an integrated being, where your soul and your physical are more aligned. You're living your spiritual energy. So this is a reading about bringing you into greater integrity, into greater wholeness, and walking your spirituality, walking your soul energy into the physical. Because you can't do that. Like, you can't just come into life and be your soul. You do have to undergo the weaving process through experiences, and usually, yeah, it can be very challenging, especially if you're asking for it faster. Like, the weaving might be slower for people who are going slower, but for you, yeah, it's more intense, it's more challenging because you are wanting to go further faster. So the image to really keep with you is like the grit that makes the pearl. That is what's going on for you at this time. When we keep nature's messages with us as we walk our life's journey, we find a lot of comfort and peace because nature is authentic and true. Nature doesn't lie. So it's harder to see that through the human lens, through the lens of what everybody around us is living or telling us or experiencing. But if we go to nature and we remember the truths of nature and what nature is showing us about our lives, we can feel a lot better. So again, walk with this image of the pearl. The grit coming into the shell and that response to that agitation is what makes the pearl. And you are making a pearl. You are making a spiritual pearl. You are weaving together more of your spirit and matter. You're going to see more of your soul energy coming into your life, but right now, that is why you're experiencing this challenge. And it feels like you're having a lot of trouble seeing this. So your work is to try to find that spiritual perspective about the challenge you're going through at this time. And once you can hold that while you're in the challenge, that's when you've succeeded, and this will shift. So what spirit animal is this? One thing I find really interesting about your cards also is that the Revealing Radiance card and Inflow with Money card are so similar. I feel like that's just a little nod to, like, the more you align with your soul and shine your soul light in the physical, that's when you are more abundant, you attract more abundance. But I feel like this is a clue about our animal. So I remember that Jamie Sams's animal deck is the same colors as these two cards. I think that's why those colors were drawing me. So I feel like your animal wants to just like show itself through me pulling the cards. So let me go ahead and pull that. Raccoon. So raccoon energy. Raccoons are funny in our modern day because it's like they live alongside us in the city. They're very much like a testament to this message of spirit existing in the physical. Like, you can find animals in the most dense of cities, and raccoon reminds us of that. It's even raccoon's colors, the polarity, the black and white, like, speaks to the integration and to the way that we bring spirit into matter, that we can find spirit, we can find nature, we can find that soul source energy in the middle of the city. And I also feel like that speaks to your reading as a whole, and it might speak to the challenge you're going through. Like, perhaps you're a very sensitive, spiritual nature person, and you're currently having to live like in the middle of the city, and it's really bothering you. And you're so impacted by the collective energies and by like societal standards and all this stuff. So your medicine here is like, again, to go into nature, go into the spiritual perspective. Don't lose that connection to nature, to your source, to self, because all this kind of collective consciousness can throw you off because it is pulling you away from your truth. And it feels like it's closing in on you, and it's making you someone you don't want to be. And yeah, I can really feel like the angst that you're feeling here with the oppression and all that. But this is exactly what you need to bring your soul energy into the physical. It really makes a lot of sense when you think of like someone very spiritual being put right in the middle of the city and kind of having to navigate that energy. There's a lot of soul weaving that needs to happen to bring that person wholeness, to bring that level of spirit into that level of density. So your external reality is like even potentially reflecting what you're going through, where it may not be about a city, but you're in a dense energy environment, very dense. Maybe your workplace is like everybody's kind of unconscious, that kind of thing. And you're really required to stay in your own spiritual energy. Maybe you're living with somebody who's like the complete opposite. They're very unconscious, etc. So thank you, Raccoon Spirit, for the message. I would recommend looking up more of Raccoon's medicine if you Google it. And thank you for listening, Pile 1, and blessings on your journey. Hi, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading. So this is a spirit animal reading. This is a message from a spirit animal for you at this moment. We are not getting the animal right away. I'm not really using animal cards. I'm not going to tune into that at the beginning. It's actually going to be something that we tune into at the very end to see which animal is giving you this message. So let's flip over your cards. You've got the Six of Pentacles, but I actually like it. I was like, oh, the Tower. So that's interesting. Let's keep going. And King of Wands. Launching your journey. Open your heart. The Rose Garden. Innocence, forgiveness, self-kindness. Bamboo Moon. Things are not what they seem. You are only trapped by your illusion. What freedom do you seek? And shift the way to new potential. So Bamboo Moon says, did you know that there are no mistakes in the universe and all events, circumstances, relationships, and situations are unfolding in perfection with the timing and intelligence of the divine plan? Any apparent delay is in your favor. If something is happening for you right now, then that is perfect too. Divine timing is perfection. It is safe to trust this now. Bamboo spends about 5 years of its early life with not much going on as the small roots attempt to ground themselves below the surface. Yet when they are ready, the roots are exceptionally strong and the plant suddenly grows like wildfire. So bamboo is speaking about, not much is potentially happening at the moment. It looks like nothing's happening, but under the surface where you can't see it, there's a lot of deep rooting going on, so that once things are in alignment, once you hit the divine timing, everything can kind of explode into being. And things are not what they seem. You're only trapped by your illusion really speaks to that energy as well. I feel like this reading is really interesting because the King of Wands paired with open your heart and innocence, forgiveness, self-kindness, I almost feel like you're trying to force that's what you're doing. So you're trying to force yourself open. You're trying to force yourself into like a spiritual, higher vibration, heart kind of loving energy before you're ready to go there. And this reading is asking you to really honor your divine timing and honor every stage of who you are, what your life has caused you to feel and become, and to really just settle into this person that you are as you are in this moment. So you might be someone who was a lot happier and more joyful back when you were younger or before some sort of experience happened to you. And it's like you're just trying to force yourself into this high vibe, like I feel good, I'm happy, kind of energy where you're not really there. And this is like a deep self-acceptance kind of prompt for you to begin treating yourself with more, it's like kind of like authenticity or compassion, neutrality. It's like you don't need to change who you are and what you're feeling. And I feel a little bit like you need to throw away some of the kind of new age spirituality principles around like you can only manifest if you're feeling happy and joyful. I feel like that's tripping you up. That's causing you to be ungrounded, and it's causing you to like kind of try to bypass the heavier stuff that you're feeling or experiencing. But Spirit is saying like your expansion, your expression, your groundedness, your embodiment is coming through this kind of it's like you need to root yourself in what you're currently going through rather than trying to pull yourself up and throw yourself into higher vibration. So there are a lot of ways to work with like the heavier emotional energy without feeling like you need to run off and change or be different or whatever. I feel like in your current self, you're pushing yourself to do this because of New Age spirituality telling you that you're supposed to be happy to manifest. But what this is really rooted in is like in your childhood, you had to be happy, like you had to put on a happy face even if you weren't feeling that. You weren't allowed to express emotion. You weren't allowed to have a down moment. Like you were expected to be joyful. I think because other people were really banking on you to fill their cups, and seeing you happy meant that other people were happy. So it was like you have tried to always push yourself to be happy, or to look like you're happy, or to look like you're okay or whatever, in order to keep everybody else stable. And this caused you to like not allow yourself to root correctly in a way where you haven't been accepting of who you are in experiences that pulled you down. And it feels like you've been through things that you don't have the option to just ascend and rise and be happy from. It's like that you went through some heavier stuff that takes more embodied work to process. It's like you're moving from law of attraction and kind of light, airy, fairy spirituality stuff that's not so grounded into more deep, like embodied, like Jung, soul making, art, music, like more deep expression of self. So I would guide you into a deeper expression of your emotions, whether that's through art or poetry or singing or whatever. Like find yourself a medium to express these deeper, darker kind of parts of you. I would also really recommend working with an animal like a horse, because horses honor and acknowledge your true authentic self, whatever that is. They don't ask you to be happy or joyful or put on a smile if you're not feeling well. They ask you to embody what you're currently feeling. So working with horses, if you're this kind of person who has had to be inauthentic in order to like be pleasing, and now has this experience of trying to force yourself into feeling joy or feeling like, I love everyone, I love everything, my heart is open. It's like, no, just be true to who you are, be true to what you're experiencing. This is the way forward. This is the way for you to master your energy to become the King of Wands. So I would actually say that this medicine is horse. So thank you, beautiful horse. Thank you to our beautiful horse spirit for this message. So that's your reading, pile 2. Thank you for listening, and blessings on your journey. Hi, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. Today we're doing messages from your animal spirit guide readings. So what we're going to do is get the message first, and I don't really have animal cards here. We might see an animal pop up here and there, but what we're going to do is identify the animal at the end of the reading once we've got the message. So let's pull your cards over. We've got Death, the Hangman, and the Lovers. Wow, 3 majors. Guided by Polaris, amazing. Nigalia Panya. Trusting your intuition. Decrease. Manifesting and doing. And you are the image maker. What you focus on manifests. What thought pattern do you need to shift? So this is the most complex, deep message of the 3 readings. And what's really interesting is I felt like Panda was potentially the animal for the last reading. And the last reading had a card called Bamboo Moon, and pandas eat bamboo. And so I feel like either card pile number 2 is like the precursor to this one. Like, I might recommend that you go watch that one. Or it's just to say, like, there's some sort of evolving energy that is weaving through these 3 messages today. So the first reading was about how you've been put into a challenging environment in order to weave more of your spirit into your matter, into your reality, into your expression of yourself. The second reading was about embodying more of your true authentic self, especially when it comes to emotion, not putting on a happy face if you're upset, etc., because you were trained to please others. So be more true to you. And now this reading, the other readings did not have major arcana. This reading has 3 major arcana. And we've got some big cards here. Big cards around being guided by what your bliss is, being guided by some guiding force, which is your bliss, which is doing what you love. We've got messages around manifesting and bringing into reality what your dreams are, what your passions are. Decrease is interesting because it suggests maybe less action, more alignment next to this manifesting and doing card. And then trusting your intuition is a call back into listening to yourself. It feels like you are a very guided person. You have a very strong guidance and connection to that guidance. And I feel like a lot of what carries you through life is your trust in that guidance, that you're being led somewhere. You can feel it. This is like, you could say this is a superpower of yours. And it feels like this sense of being guided is what also allows you to be very fluid and adopt like different perspectives. It helps you to set aside your ego and what you think is supposed to happen or what other people are experiencing. It's like this very strong inner guidance is so clear and you're so connected to it that you will walk a different life because of this guidance. If you feel this strong sense, I have to sell everything and I've got to go backpacking in Nepal, like you will follow that guidance and it will always lead you in the right direction. Like you have such a strong relationship with this piece of you that, like I said, you will follow it and it leads you into situations or experiences that are not common with the Hanged Man, like things that are different. You might have periods of time where you're suspended in a way, like nothing's happening, or you're on your own, you're in the desert, you're traveling by yourself with nothing, like these strange kind of human circumstances that you can live through, that you can walk through because you're so clear that you are going there. And with the Lovers, it's like what ultimately happens is that you distill more of your bliss, you distill more of your preferences, you learn more who you are and who you are not. So a lot of your experiences might really be polarizing, where you really, like, you're guided into places or to people that really give you a very strong and clear sense that this way is for me, this way is not for me. This stuff is for me, this stuff is not for me. This kind of person is for me, this person is not. So you have very clear preferences because of your experiences and because of how, the different kind of perspective is what has led you to these funny experiences that are just so polarizing and that really give you a strong direction, an even stronger direction. And perhaps that's why your guidance system is so strong to begin with. It's just, this is the type of person you are. You're very guided by your preferences and you're very guided by your bliss. You have a very strong sense of what you love and what to walk towards and what not to walk towards. So I do feel like the animal spirit here is panda. And one of the really interesting messages in this reading is like, you are a very specific kind of person. You're unique. You've got some interesting things about you that are very different from other people. And some of these characteristics might cause you to feel like you're more vulnerable or you're more sensitive, you need more help, more comfort. There's something with Panda where the Negalia Panya card is really interesting because it speaks to how at this point pandas rely on the relationship with humans in order to survive. Like the world doesn't support them in thriving. They need help. They need human help at this point. And this is such an interesting example of a being that has surrendered like an ordinary way of existing. You know, pandas are not like out in the wild thriving and fending for themselves and etc. It's like they're mostly in captivity and being cared for by people. And what a different life compared to normal animals. And that feels a lot like what you experience. You experience these very unique, different kinds of environments that evoke interesting things from you that are just very interesting experiences. I really feel like you're a real explorer of the life experience, pile 3. Like you are here to go into all these kinds of different and strange and unique and individual places and energies and bend in different ways and become different things and experience different pieces of you and have ego deaths, be okay with being a different kind of, you know, maybe you rely on others more, you're more of a dependent person, you're more sensitive and you need help. And can you accept that in you? The decrease, as I said at the beginning of this reading, it's like, how can you step back? How can you dial down? How can you embrace that piece of you that is sensitive and vulnerable and needs care and support from others? Because it's like that, you're different. You're not, I feel like that's really the message of this reading, is like, you are not like anything like other people. You're very unique and you're very guided by spirit, very, very deeply guided by your soul and what your soul wants to experience. And by this drive towards bliss, towards what feels good. And you're very much, like I said, an explorer of life. So I feel like you know all this about yourself. This reading's just calling into your awareness, like maybe an interesting piece of you that's more subtle and hard to pinpoint. And it is taking a moment to celebrate it. So I asked if there's any further guidance for pile 3, and we got accepting what is. So yeah, I felt like this was kind of the underlying message of this whole reading. It's like, you're different and your life is different, and there are parts of you that might be like taboo and unacceptable, especially to like your birth family or to society. And there are things that you really are being guided to accept about yourself that are very unique and different, very strange, perhaps not acceptable by ordinary standards, etc. But Panda's very much your medicine. I would encourage you to look up Panda, maybe watch Panda videos, learn more about how they're bred in captivity and how they, you know, that kind of independence relationship with humans that they're living through, because they're so sensitive, they're endangered, they only eat, you know, so very specific things, and they just have all these very unique specific things about them that makes it hard for them to exist in this world. And you might be really experiencing that. You might be a very, very sensitive soul. You might have very specific dietary needs. You might need a very specific environment to thrive. Like, you're very, very, very unique, and it's like this world that we're in doesn't really vibe with you. It doesn't really support your well-being. So accepting what is like, if you can accept this in you, if you can stop fighting against who you are, I feel like you will manifest a life that supports you in who you are and that you can thrive in. Okay, pile 3, so that is your reading. We want to thank Panda Spirit for this message, and thank you for listening, and blessings on your journey.